Hi all. I thought I'd do a quick quick behind the scenes of my 2017 show. I did one in 2016. It changed quite a bit since then, but the fundamentals are still the same. Let's move on to the first control box. So this is my first control box. I think it's Argos garden storage box. Had it for a few. This is the third year it's been in use now. All in the same second year in this this style, I think. Yeah, second year in this style, where I've got the little matrix bolted to it. My little sign on the bottom. The wind's pulled the bottom corner off, and control box inside. This year I've had to use two old dead car batteries. I was just about to take the skip to stop it from blowing over, because last year I can't remember what I did, but I had a lot more weight in here last year, so this year it's a lot lighter, and the wind just caught a bit of the top and over it went. So I've got, these are 5-volt pixels, very first ones I ever bought. There's 200 here. These are 3 seasons old now, and touch wood, no failures, no problems. I am supplying these with 12 volts and got little 12 volt of 5 volt 3 amp converters. There's 4 of them in there, and I've got one in the box down the bottom. But the one in the box does a few things, not just the pixels. This all comes up through data, and all the power comes up through a 7-core cable here. I've got basically two converters connected together. The yellow's there and the black's there, off one power lead coming down, which is all fused. That cable just comes down and goes in through an aviation plug here, aviation style plug. So this is my one of the control boxes. I have 3 main control boxes, are the remote boxes, and then one, I think it's a CG 1000 box just for power, or a CG 2000 I think it is actually, which is just got a power supply in for power injection. So in this box I have a 12 volt 350 watt supply, which feeds 2 of my power distribution boards. I've got a Renard Plus TR24, which is soldered for 240 volt use. So I'm only actually using 4 channels on that this year. That's probably all I'll ever use. It's a bit overkill. I've got a second one sat there as well. Currently not getting used for anything at all. Brilliant kit. I bought that from the States as a kit with all the right resistors to change it to 240 volt. I've soldered it up, and the only problem I've had with it is one of the main microcontrollers got fried in shipping. That's probably just it was working when I first tried it, but I think I've done something, made it damp, so I bought a new one, and they've been rock solid ever since. I have a 12 volt DC coil 240 volt relay here for some lights which I'll run off this plug here through a transformer. It's just a single socket screw at the side of the box. That is for some static lights I have. They are using the show, but they're only on off, so that's why I put the relay in, just so it's just simple on off. I have 2 8-channel, this one's only set up for 4, but I have 2 8-channel DC solid state relay boards that I've done. I've got a Renard 8 DC, which is basically the controller for this. There's 2 of them there. These are the boards I do sell. These are available if anyone wants them. The Renard 8 board took an unfinished design from America, which was meant for AC, and basically just made it into a DC only board, because I'll only ever use them for the DC. I'm trying to get away from AC stuff. But see, I've only got 4 things now. My first year I had about 44 channels of AC. Last year I had a few more. This year I've only got, I think last year I had about 10. This year I've got 4. Plus this one, but that doesn't count because it's separate to it's not on the actual TR24 board. Over in this corner, this is an adjustable power supply set at 31 volts for the candy canes from Argos or Homebase. I'll be changing, getting rid of that next year and adding 12 volt single colour LEDs, which is the same ones on some of my Megatree, and I'll show you them later. I'll be adding them so I can get rid of the power supply, make the candy canes a bit brighter, and it's just one less thing in this box I have to worry about. Now, here's the converter I was on about, the one down here. This powers this weird looking doubled up ESP Pixify board. There's another board I also sell. This is version 1, this is version 2. Version 3 is going to be slightly different. This is actually 2 boards still joined together. One is used for serial data into the RS485 chip, into this RJ45 connection Cat5 into the first Renard 8. The second one is running pixel data, which is down through these cables through the plug and up to the matrix. The plan is for 2018 is to have one board which has RS485 chip built in, the RJ45 connector on it already, so I don't have to have all this extra, the breadboard and all this connection. Don't have to have any of that. I can just have it all on one board and just plug a Cat5 cable in. It means I can mount them properly. Also I want to lie down the voltage regulators and have them through the board like the TR24 is here. Have them lined down so it's through the board, and also make it, if I do that, be a bit better and less chance of shorting the heat sinks out on pins. I'll be designing that January, February 2018 and getting some designs together. But yeah, these are all 8 channel. This is running 12 volts. This one's running 31 volts. The candy canes are giving me trouble this year. That's why I want to get rid of the power supply. I don't know if it's the power supply or this board. But I'm thinking it could be a power supply problem, because the original it wasn't doing it on the original power supplies, but they weren't reliable enough, so I had to go for this. Once this one changed to 12 volts, be a lot simpler, and then get this whole box tidied up, make it look a lot nicer. I've got, it's a big mess, but pigtails. I use Paul Zhang. Got his 3-core pigtails, which are actually suitable for 300 to 500 volts. It says on them they're 0.75 mil cord. I've got 3 and 4 cores in use here. I've got some 4 cores in use for some shooting stars, so there's only one, so it's a lot easier, and 2 cores, actually 2 cores are here, 3 cores are for the pixels, 2 cores here, they're all the same style. But yeah, this is my first control box. Coming out from the first control box, I have a big mess of wiring. I do have a little waterproof box down there. I know the connector isn't on because it gives me a bit of trouble once in a while, so I like to unplug it quickly and plug it back in. That was last night. Just forgot to screw it back together. Basically I've got some wiring that goes up here. I've got 5 shooting stars on the glass. They're all 12 volt LED tape, single colour. I've got green, red and yellow up there. These stars are homemade. Aluminium, no actually no, they're steel, thin steel strips welded together and tapes wrapped to the inside and out, and all I've got is some 4-core RGB, what is it, a 4-core RGB cable. Oops, zoom back out. here I got 2 4-cores and then it's just a 2-core. I've also got 2 of the cables going up there. One is main power, the white one up to a box up the top, which does powers my P10 and my power supply for power injection. And then I've got the black cable which does my bells, which is one of the 240 volt options I've got. I've also got 2 cables. One cable I like going out to the vertical over here, and then the main white cable going into the garage for power. I'm on a digital timer for that. I always get asked about how do I attach pixels to my house. Now this vertical is a bit different because I've got nothing to screw it to at all. So all I've got is a bit of wood, just connect the top and bottom. I can't really screw into the wall because it's not actually my house, being a military house. And then the plastic conduits just screwed to the wood. Over here, I've got cable ties going around this pillar, the gutters, all the drain pipes, just cable tied around the drain pipes. I use 16 by 25 mil plastic conduit. What I do is I drill holes. This is every 2.5 inch spacing on this. I then have to cut away the bit here that actually grips it to fit these square nodes in. The green tape is just where it was cheaper for me to buy them a little bit longer and tape them up than what it was to get custom spacing. And all I do is just push them through, put it all in, still just clicks in. It's really easy, simple, click it in, and then I hot glue a C9 cover over the top. They look really nice, it diffuses the light quite nice. The wife likes them, that's the whole reason these are on there. It just gives a bit more of a Christmassy look, especially during the day. Because I know it's a big white plastic conduit, but it just looks a bit nicer during the day for that. I have this black balloon there, black rubber cable protector, which just runs down. You kind of see cables in the stones. Over here I've got a DMX moving light. That is the red, green, blue and white, so RGBW LEDs. So I can get really bright white and put the white and the red, green and blue on to make white, so it gets really bright. These weren't too badly expensive. They weren't too expensive off eBay, and to be honest, they worked perfectly well. The very first one I bought had a shorted power supply, but the seller paid for me to ship it back, refunded me half the money and sent me a new one out. So I can't complain. I have 3 of them, 2 more down there. 3 of them, and then over here towards the top of my path I've got the candy canes. Now these are just the Argos, home base. I think the range sells them as well. Candy canes. What I've done is I've got 4 sets. Took each set and joined all the reds together, all the greens, the blues, the yellows, and then I've obviously extended all the cable lengths to make them where I want them. The relay in the first control box, I control these static lights. That's these. This one's been snapped. The icicles this side, I've got different style of lights going along, and it's just a bit of a barrier around the garden to stop people walking through. I will have to put some form of barrier up around the front on opening night next year, because I've got loads of kids running around the candy canes, and they did trip over some white paracord I've got that holds a few things in place. Yeah, it's candy canes. For the DMX head, all it is a wooden box, silicon sealed with a glass fish bowl on top, which is sealed in. I've got a desiccant box in the inside to keep any moisture, which worked perfectly well. We haven't had much rain this year, and it's still 20 degrees, so it's not that bad. A couple of days of rain, but nothing heavy yet. So that's that. I have had one trouble with a plug, but it was my wiring, not the actual light wiring on one of the boxes I had to take apart in the day to seal it back up, and it's been fine ever since. Now it's time to jump up and we'll have a look at the P10. Right, so I have a P10 panel up here. It's a 3 wide 2 high panel. It's a wooden box, plexiglass front sealed, plexiglass rear sealed but no longer. I had a small problem where I forgot to add vent holes. I've now got one there and one over here, because by the time you get a power supply and a Raspberry Pi Zero wireless inside in a sealed box, got pretty warm, especially with the sun hitting the front. But basically it's just a wooden box, metal corner brackets. Out in Cyprus these things are, you know, they're so easy to come by, all these corner brackets and that. All I've got through this gaps here is a big wooden beam. I use it for screwing anything, any of my props into. Well, they're on hooks. They're on separate ways, so no matter which way this blows, you know, if it was ever going to fall off one, it would never fall off both. It's got the power supply cable coming out, and that goes up. See, I've got a Raspberry Pi wireless in the back of that, with the, I'm pretty sure it's Crockett Fantasy of Lights Pi board, but I'm not 100% sure. Their board on there, which is just connected up. 3D printed brackets. The little one there was just something quickly I drew up. Centerpiece. I've got a Raspberry Pi's in a case. I just forgot to close the lid when I had it off the last time. I've got a black distribution board in this box because I'm keeping it simple. Black for 5 volt, white for 12. This is the 5 volt supply. Basically 6 panels. Starts at the top corner, along, down. See the multicolored cable. And then behind the power supply there's another cable, joins on, and then it all depends on you how you set it up. I think I'm going for a bigger one next year. I've got how the panels come in, you get 2 connections together, and then that goes into one board, one point on my distro board. I've only got 4 fuses set up on there. It's an 8 fuse board. Only got 4, one for each pair of panels. There's 3, and then one for the Raspberry Pi separately. What I have had to do is, it's really gashy set up at the moment, but I've had to bodge a 5 volt fan over the top of the Raspberry Pi to keep it cool, because I have actually fried the first one. Luckily I had a spare one, or this wouldn't have been set up. But yeah, I'll be adding the Raspberry Pi on the outside of the box next year. In its own little box. I'll be running this again and a bigger one, so I'll be adding them. This one might just stay inside because it's worked, since I've done that, it's worked flawlessly. But the bigger one I'll be setting on outside, so if I do have any trouble I don't have to try and unseal this whole thing. It took a while to unseal. It was it's special acrylic silicone sealant, and it's quite tough to get off. You see, I've got 2 desking pots inside. These have gone thing because there is 2 holes I can get my finger right through here, just to let air in, air and out, moisture in, moisture out. It's not the best situation, but I've had no panel failures at all this year. It's been really good. Touch wood again. It's been really good, and I really enjoy it. I just can't wait to go bigger with these. It's all I'm looking for, is to go bigger. One thing I've got is my vertical pixels actually joined to the verticals up on the roof. So all I've got a little wire. I didn't make this one long enough first time, so I've got a short wire, then onto the longer wire which goes up and over the roof. That does all 3 drain pipes, or all 3 small verticals. But that's my P10 panel. Everyone uses people use Beagle Bone Blacks. I'm not too, I've never actually seen one, touched one. I like a Raspberry Pi. I've got a couple spare I've got the Raspberry Pi board for that has, I think, 3 outputs for panels. This one is only a single output, but can control 12 panels, I think it is. I've got another one of these, and the circuit board, and I've got the bigger one. I'll be using the bigger one next year to control the more panels. So the brackets, most of the brackets are on Thingiverse, 3D printing. I'll be obviously doing more when I'll be printing more next year. So we're back down from the ladders here now, and as you can see, I've got a lower roof and an upper roof up there. The lower roof is just the same as all the other pixels that go along. The verticals are all the same style. You know, the conduit, the holes drilled, everything's cut out. It's all symmetrical as best I can. Let's move along a bit. Another vertical. Once again, cable tied to the drain pipe, and then the join cable goes up to the one at the top. I've got an LED rope light reindeer here. It's another 240 volt one. Another DMX moving head. The first one was the last. This is the second one. You can see the cables coming in and out for power and data. These pull very little power. The main fuse is only fused at 1 amp in each one. I think altogether all three, whilst moving, only pull an amp if it's lucky. Depends. Even that's with the white LEDs on. They're not that power hungry. These aren't. They're brilliant little lights. They've been really good. I actually really like them. I just can't wait to use more effects. Got my pixel tree. I'll come back to that one in a minute. The candy cane's going along. Next light. Vertical this side, and I thought I'd quickly show you the controller for it. It's another Pixify board. This is the one with the heat sink all ready to go, and that just lives like that with this plastic cover on it, and that's how they live, just out in the rain. Now no troubles at all with any of them burning up this year. No problems at all with them. I've got the Mega Tree here. I'll go to that one now. I've got the candy canes come along. These static lights, which start up the other end of the candy canes, come along and go out to here. This is basically because I've got one of my guide wires, this is paracord. This is military paracord from a shop. It's like the military style stuff you get. Basically that just goes on to stop cars, because people park the cars in here when doing school runs, and because I'm right beside the school. So I think okay, this tree is going up the front quickly, so you might get a picture of the stars on top. This is roughly 5 meters tall. I've got twin rope light green and pink star, each one separately controlled, and that is the last. That's two more. That's the last two 240 volt channels we've got. So we've got some bells I haven't showed you yet, reindeer and the 2 stars. This is 32 channel, red and green, 16 red, 16 green strands. The wind's caught a couple of them up. We'll go inside. I've also got a 5 meter 3010 ribbon tape, pixel tape on the inside, which just runs around the pole. It is just put together on this here. It's not evenly spaced out. Next year I need to do a bit better and space it out, but I was running out of time to get this tree up because it was getting dark, and had to get it up that day. This is my control box for this. Underneath this plexiglass plate is two 12 volt 400 watt supplies. Once again, I get all mine from Paul Zhang. All my pixels, all these are single colour 9mm LEDs. These are the old style ones. New style ones are slightly shorter. Spacing's not as good, but you can cut them every LED. These are only cuttable every 3. Where it goes, see the 2 wires, and you've got the 3 there. When it goes to 2, that's when you can cut them. But I just use a full length here. I get all my pigtails and everything all from Paul. So once again, I've got a wireless Pixify board here. using the ASP module, running into a Renard 8. This one is this one was running like this last year, any trouble. And basically what I've got is I've got another set of cables coming over to the RS485 chip, so I can just go down the line and pass the signal down once the PIC's done with the data. All 16 ports of the fuse board's used up. We've got two cables got at the back for powering some of the pixels on the house, and then I've got a 3-core coming out of the PX1 over here. Once again, I've just got 8-channel solid state relay boards, 4 of them. These have got the status LEDs on them as well, so you can see without plugging lights in if the controller's putting the channel out. And the controllers have a power and a status light. All the boards have power when you're getting power from power light, and then the channel indicator lights here. I think I've got red, white, green and blue. So red and white are the red, green and blue are the green. Just 4 Renard 8 boards there. That's the one with the special cable for the chip. These ones are just the standard ones. They work perfectly fine. I just need to redesign them a bit, make them a bit bigger, to put some proper mounting holes on them, because that's one thing I was forgetting about. I've got a Renard PX1 over here, a bit old school now, but it works perfectly for the situation. It saved having another board, another ASP module, another IP address, something else to configure. It just sits at the end of the run and works this strip of 150 pixels. Goes up the tree perfectly well. Now I'm only injecting power at the bottom, but no power at the top. It works brilliant, works fine on white. With 16 outputs at the front here, all I've got, they're all 4-core pigtails. They're all, can I get it to focus? See if I can get it to focus in on it. There you go. 3/500 volts, 4.4 times 0.75. These are the 4-core. I just took that off to show you guys. Got the other side here. The sealing ring, all from Paul. I used the solder shrink tubes this year. I won't be using them again. I don't mind them. It was a bit just a bit of the pain. I'd rather have I've just ordered some of the crimp heat shrink ones to try them out. Hopefully that'll be a bit better for next year if I need to make more cables, which I will be doing. I've got quite a few things to add next year. So this is the Mega Tree. All it is a scaffold pole joined in the middle about there. Believe it or not, this is into a pallet with a hole cut in the middle. The pallet's into the ground with 2 stakes. One that corner, one that corner, and then there's 3 guides. There's one down there, you can see the rope. There's the first one I showed you over there, and then I've got the third one. Oh, I'm tangled up in lights here. The third one, step out this tree. The third one is just tied to the fence line, which is keeps it nice and sturdy. See, that's my tree. I've had this tree now. This is the first year for this tree. First year was just some 240 volt cheap Chinese lights. Is a static, it was just on. Second year with this tree was 24 channels. Yeah, I had 16 red, 8 green, with the 240 volt strings from China. That was my first year getting into these lights, and didn't realise how dangerous they actually were. So as soon as that season was over, they literally went straight in the bin. As soon as the tree came down, all the lights went straight in the bin. Cut the pigtails off. I even made bridge rectifiers for every single string as well, which was a long time. Last year I had 16 red strings here and 8 green, and the tree wasn't as wide. This year I've went 32 strings, 8 red, 8 green, 16 red, 16 green, and that's it now. I'm not going to go any bigger. I don't want to go RGB or pixel on this one. I just want to keep it simple. I like the red and the green. You know, it's the most Christmassy colours. And I like it. It's nice and simple. The control box is built, that's set up. I won't be modifying that in any way next year, because everything else will be added extra. You know, I might have to add an extra power supply and more ports for another fuse board and more ports for that, but supplying power out. But I even think my power supplies are quite. I've got two 400-watt ones under there. I think there's quite a lot of power left. I'll have to do a check just double check on them. I'm pretty sure I've got quite a lot of power left on that. So that's that mega tree there. So before I got the mega tree in the last control box, I'll quickly show you a bit from the house. In front of the house, I've got two speakers. One there and one buried over there. I've also got an ammunition tin, ammo tin on a wooden pole. This actually held my 2 and 2 sign last year. This year it's got the ammo box still on for the charity box. I've also got a little, starting to get a bit of water inside of it now, but we've only got a few days left. And this is my little sign. I've also got a 60mm arcade style push button. This has been out now for the second year. I've used this in the rain, and I've had heavy rain last year, and this was out here. And you know what it is? It's got an LED inside, worked perfectly. If you press this, the music comes on for 5 minutes. That's basically what you get. What is it? Yeah, 5 minutes. It's my charity I'm collecting for this year. Been in the military myself. I go for the British Forces Base Station, which is they do a lot of work. They've got the radios. They do a lot of work on camp. Loads of events where I am. And they're a big salute charity, which is collects with different charities. But it's easy just to go for the one. Everyone recognises it. It's a very big on this camp where I am now. So that's the charity. Let's go up this side of the house, see if you can see them. Got 5 10-watt RGB. I think the Pixie Floods. Can't remember who did the boards, but there were a few there. I'm in the 3rd year now. Had an LED fail this year, so I've had to replace that. But luckily, it was before the before setup, so it was well testing phase. So I managed to do that beforehand. I power them. The first 2 are powered together because the first one's got another Pixify wireless board in, and then the last 3 are powered together. I probably, being that's 50 watt out there, I wanted to make sure I've got enough power for them, because I didn't want them to, they need to be quite bright considering the colour of the house and I'm on. I've also got the last 2 40-volt item, the bells, which the cable runs from that box there, runs all the way up. I lost them last year, the ropes, I had to re-rope them, but one thing I can't do without, because I really love them. Up there I've got the power supply box with another 8-port distro board in, and I think it's pretty much all used up. You can kind of see the white cables running up on the roof from the lower verticals up to the upper verticals. Basically they just go up. I've got 5 snowflakes on a wooden frame. They're all 3D printed, my design. I think I put the link on the Thingiverse. If not, I'll tweak the holes slightly because they need to be made a couple of mil or 0.5 mil bigger, and I'll load them all up. It took me a long time to print. It's the first thing I've ever designed and printed. So I've got 5 of them. Each one holds 56, I think it is, pixels. It's 56 or 50, I think. Or is it 55? It's around the 55 mark, 55, 56. What I've got is this right vertical here, you see now, goes up into at the top, power is injected and powers them 2 snowflakes that side. Over this side it comes up the left vertical and power injected. So it's just power, data and ground coming from the vertical across to the top of the first snowflake. Then I've got power, and that powers the 3 snowflakes. I think I've got a loose connection down the bottom here because I get some data issues and colour and flickering on random. It's not on white. Do get it on white, but get it on other colours as well. So I know it's not. Don't think it's a power issue, but I will just try and inject. All the pixels I've showed you so far, them ones down here were 5 volt. Everything else is 12. Just for the lack of power injection needed. I can run them a bit longer. The upper roof is split into 2 sections. One is powered from this vertical here with power injection as well. Goes along to about this point here, and then I've got the second one is powered from that vertical with power injection, goes up and powers that one. It's just a lot easier to do like that. I don't want to put too many channels on one of the little pair Pixify boards. I've kept them as simple as I can. And now I'll go and show you the Mega Tree. So here is my Pixel tree. Sorry about any noises there. 2 jets just coming into land past me. Yeah, joys of being on a military base. Let's have a look at them quick, shall we? There's a Tornado GR4 and the second one behind it somewhere coming in view. There it is. Yeah, I'll bugger off in a sec. But here's my Pixel tree. I'm not going to call it a mega tree because our class has a mega tree that's 5 meters tall. This is on 2.5, maybe 3 to push with a star on top. Something. But basically, what I've got here is I've got 16 strands, Boscoyo strips. Each strand has 90 pixels in it, and there's a star on top with 40 pixels. So believe it or not, this has 1,480 pixels in this tree, and these pixels are 5 volt. Show you. I think I've got the star on top. I've folded the ends over. It's just a plywood plate. I'm going to dress it up a bit next year, make it look a bit nicer. The strips really sorting out. The wind got battered this and kids touched it and stretched some of the strips. I need to retension them all. Basically, I've missed 4 of the top ones over, cable tied it, missed a hole, and then I go 90 down. And at the bottom, I've got the bottom folded over as well. So it's just one full strip. No cutting them, no joining them. Strings are 50. These are all bullets. I've got to mention the snowflakes were bullets. Everything else is square nodes. These are all bullet nodes. At the bottom, so what I could quickly do this here is just a plywood base ring. There's 4 sections of plywood cut up there. Cup hooks in there, brass cup hooks, cable tied, the strands. It works quite well actually. I lost the bits that came with the star, so I actually printed myself a little bracket quickly that slides over the pole and cable ties on. And believe it or not, the star hasn't budged at all. This is a FECOM, I think it is. The name there. This is an outdoor access point. I've got one of these in my house for internet, and this is the one that does the show, because pretty much everything apart from this box below me is wireless. But even this has wireless stuff inside of it. For this, the pole is just another scaffolding pole. Black cable here, which is the data for the star, and then I've got my Cat5 cable, which is also power over PoE, power over Ethernet, which actually powers and sends the data to the router box up there. The base is a suspended sunshade base, the ones that can go over a table but from the side, with the 4 weights. All I did was took the plastic insert out of here, slid the pole in, tightened it up, and it's rock solid in there. It's not moving anywhere. And then just the 4 weights hold it down. There's no guide wires or anything on this tree. And we've had some bad winds, nothing too bad. So these are 5 volt, 90 pixels, no power injection, all 90. I've currently got the brightness set 10%. It was set to 20%, but I had to drop it down to take some videos, and I just left it like that because Christmas is nearly over with, and it's still perfectly bright at 10%. This is my main show box. This is the main controller for everything. So it's very busy around here. I've got 16 pigtails, once again for the Stars 3 cores. These are all Paul Zhang, and these are, can I get the focus there? 3/500 volt, 3 times 0.75 millimeter squared. You know, they're all the same. They're all good quality pigtails. I've had no problems at all with any of them. They all go through glands. I've also got a few extra plugs down here. I've got these black and blue ones. I've got two pins, which are the 2 speakers. I've got a 3-pin for the push button. I've also got a waterproof Cat5 cable on one side. I've got a waterproof Cat5 cable on the other side, and at the other side I've got another plug, which another pigtail which does the star. So in here I have a 5 volt. It's a 5 volt 350 watt, so that's 70 amp power supply, which does half of this box, which basically powers the Raspberry Pi. So yeah, powers the Raspberry Pi there. I've got a Falcon F16 V3, fused inputs each side, 16 outputs. I've used this as got the switch on it as well, built-in network switch, so I'll go straight out, which is Raspberry Pi, and then up to the Wi-Fi router at the top. Over this side, it's a bit messy. I've got an FM transmitter, one of them little digital ones. I printed the case. Not too keen on that. I'm having a bit of trouble with it this year. That's because I split my audio there, which one goes to an amp, one goes to the FM transmitter. It's a bit hard, so next year I'm going to see if I can find an FM transmitter, amp with a built-in FM transmitter. So when I power it up, it automatically goes to the right station, so I can get it better. So I can tune this, so I can run this FM transmitter here over USB. So it basically gets rid of that 5 to 12 volt adapter, gets rid of the cables, just another USB port used. I've got a little timer relay here, which when I power it up, because this box is all powered in on at the same time, this actually waits for a minute, clicks in and powers this Pixel board off for a minute, which gives enough time for the access point to actually load up and become active before the switches on and gets its IP address. All these are in DCHP mode, and I've set address reservations in the access point. That's how I do it. I find it a lot easier. That's how I've done it for 2 years now, and this access point works brilliantly for that. I've got some little fuses here. One does the Pi, one does the Pixify down here. This is a Raspberry Pi. This is I think this was the model. I think this could be the 2. It's either a B plus or the 2. I've got a Wi-Fi antenna here for the house. I'm having a lot of troubles with this year. I'm going to scrap it and try and get it, spend a bit of money and get a decent one. USB audio, because I've got the Pi cap on, but the one you can see the Pi cap strip right down. The only reason this Pi cap's on is to for the RTC. So the only reason it's there, and even that's not working properly. I think the battery might be getting a bit flat, or something's not happening, because every other night it loses its time, so I've got to come back out. If my Pi was connected to the internet, which it says it is, it's got an IP address, it just doesn't get the time. So that's another problem I need to sort out for next year, but I won't be doing it last minute like I did on this one. I'll be setting it up a lot earlier, getting it to work a lot better. So there I've got my Falcon F16 V3. I've got one port coming out. There's some more jets coming over. One port coming out which is DMX, which runs the 3 moving lights. I've got 16 pigtails coming out, which is all for the 3. Yep, here comes another jet. This is the Eurofighter Typhoon. There it is. There's the one. And there's another one coming over in a sec. Sorry about the noise there. See, that's all run off 5 volt. I can't praise the Falcon guys enough. David Pitts is amazing. This board's amazing. I might look at it expanding next year. I want to add a few more strings to the tree. I want to try and get them a bit closer together at the bottom, but still keep the 180. So I might go for 24 strings. So if I do, I'll be getting the expansion board and making this box into a dual layer box like the first one. So all the power supplies are underneath and everything else is on top. But like I say, like it's so easy to plug and everything just plugs in. It's really nice. I like it's got built-in Wi-Fi but not supported yet. USB for audio, SD card slot. So this could run FPP as a slave if need be. I won't have any need for that yet, but you never know what happens in the future. I've only got one more Christmas in this house before I have to move back to the UK and start again basically from scratch and set up another show. So that's, it's a lot of work. So also in this box I have a little 12 volt 5 amp supply. This little one, yeah, it's very small because, well, I've only got two things that supply, and 3 things are 12 volt. I know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things fused. I've got the little 12 volt to 5 volt USB adapter there for the FM transmitter. That was there because it was simply, I had the cable made up and it was so easy just to put there. So the FM transmitter is supposed to live there, but it just doesn't. I've got this little Chinese amp, which, believe it or not, works really well and it's really loud with the speakers I've got. I've got a timer relay here with this PoE adapter, power over Ethernet, which is for the access point. And that's it, basically this box. So this one I've got the button, cables come for the button. Got some power here for the LED, plus a signal cable for the button, because the button's just joined to the positive. Or to the ground, I can't remember the thing, it's the ground wire. So when you press the button, it grounds out. This is a countdown timer relay, so it switches on, counts down 300 seconds, which is 5 minutes, which then powers up this amp, which then puts out to the speakers. It's that simple. No, there's not much more about this box. It's a simple build. I try to keep it as simple as I can. I'm this tree trying to keep it simple, just because I don't want to try and overcomplicate stuff by going crazy, and I didn't want to go there. I was going to get the F16 F4 V3, but I didn't want to go for the zigzag options and everything. I thought it was easier just to keep all the strings the same. I have actually got a spare string, so if I do lose a pixel, it's literally a 2-minute job to cable tie at the bottom, unhook, undo the pigtail, unhook the top, new strip in, do it back together, and away you go. So I've got a spare one of them hanging up in the garage, so if anything breaks, the only thing I've got spare is a strip of that, because I love the tree. So overall, that is my little behind the scenes. If anyone's got any questions, just message me. I'll try my best to answer anything out, and help anyone with theirs. It is a bit harder for us UK guys to get stuff like you guys and the America can. The Bosco strips cost quite a bit of money over here in the UK because we've got to get shipping and import taxes. I was quite lucky for the Falcon. I actually didn't get any import taxes on that. The Stark cost me, I think it's probably about £20, so what's it, probably $27, $28 just to get it shipped for that little star. It's not worth. I just wish you had a supplier in the UK who could do stuff like this, who did it. But obviously the lighting scene is not as big as what it is in America. But like I say, luckily I get all my pixel everything from China anyway, and I just happen to have some stuff sent over. I've had a few things sent over from the States now, and hopefully a few more. But yeah, so this is Technology Lights, and I'm currently lighting up Aki because I'm in RF Akrotiri, and that's where I am. So next time I go somewhere, I'll be lighting up wherever I am. Hopefully somewhere with a nice big house so I can carry on with a nice big display. Thank you very much, and peace out.